Hello, and welcome back to another Instagram TV. We are in the process of moving. This is what we're working with this week. This is real life. My office has become where we are keeping all of the boxes. So this is a real life video and not a studio here at my computer desk with everything going on. Life is crazy, but I wanted to talk to you about this topic of sexuality, femininity, feminine energy, sexiness, desirability, healthy body image, and really paint a picture and give you some tangible steps of how individual and personal this process truly is. So when I'm working with my clients and when I am talking with so many of you in Instagram DMs and we're chatting on the podcast and we're having these open dialogues, this open communication around what is sexuality, what is pleasure, what is sensuality, what is the queen, what is the seductress or the sacred slut archetype, what is the high priestess, and working with these different feminine archetypes. And what I love to remind my clients and what I want to give you permission, and hopefully this liberates you the way that it liberated me many moons ago, is that this process is individual and there is no 10-step how to awaken the sex goddess within you. There is no perfect start to finish, cookie cutter way for you to reach this stage of being awakened in your sexuality and liberated in who you are as a sexual being. And the reason that should liberate you is because I want you to tap into, what does this look like for you? What does this mean to you? And I know that there are so many women who follow me and so many women who talk to me every day who are triggered by this topic, because we've been indoctrinated to believe that, the sacred slut is dirty, being embodied in our sexuality is wrong. The women who are, we are taught to be triggered by and taught to shame. And then we shame our own bodies. We get our periods every month. We cover them up, right? Oh my God, heaven forbid someone knows we're bleeding. We are walking around naked and we've got cellulite or belly rolls, and someone's conditioned us to believe that that's bad and that's wrong and that's gross, right? We've been indoctrinated with all of these beliefs and all of these stories and all of these things. And so when I'm working with my clients on, coming back into your body, coming home to yourself and really being in your sexuality, it's not about striving for or going outside of yourself to find sexuality or find sensuality or find the goddess within you. It really is about unlocking and awakening pieces of yourself in the proper process, in the proper journey, and in the safe container that your soul wants to awaken to it in. Does that make sense? Let me know below if you're getting lost on me, and I promise we'll dive deeper into it. So in this, I love to teach my clients how to come home to yourself. And I remember this happened for me when I first stepped into the sex coaching land. This time actually last year is when I fully owned it, where I was like, fuck yes, I am a sex coach. And I remember feeling like, who am I to be a sex coach? Because I don't look like the other sex coaches that I had seen. And not to shame them, because they're not wrong. I follow many of them. They're beautiful expanders for me. They show me what's possible. They have changed my life in so many ways. They're beautiful human beings. But I remember thinking, I don't want to, post that on Instagram, or I don't really want to share that part of me with the world. And believe it or not, as much as I share about my sex life and I share about my preferences and blowjobs and all the things, there are pieces of my sex life and pieces of me as a woman, pieces of my life that I hold near and dear and sacred to my heart that maybe one day, yes, I will share. But for example, like a boudoir shoot, I think they're absolutely beautiful. But my soul is like, you know what? Keep that for the bedroom for now. Keep that between you and your partner. And again, not to shame anyone and not to say anyone is wrong, because these women are absolutely gorgeous and they show us what's possible. And a year from now, who knows, maybe I'll be on Instagram in a boudoir shoot, and I can't wait for that day, right? When my soul tells me it's time. But what I want this to liberate you in is having you redefine what each of these terms that I'm talking about here, that these other sex coaches or these other goddesses or these other feminine energy coaches, these feminine embodiment teachers are teaching. I want you to define it for yourself, okay? So I wrote down some things here. What does sexuality look like to you in this season? because this work is ever evolving. It's ever unfolding. It's constantly pivoting and shifting and changing, because you are not the same you as you were yesterday. The sex coach that I was a year ago is completely different than the sex coach I am now. My own definitions of these words are working definitions. They're constantly evolving as my soul feels called to pivot with them. I don't fit into anyone's box of sexuality, of being a sexual being, of being liberated in my sensuality. I fit into the box that feels aligned and authentic to me. So what does sexuality look like for you? Or if you see other women in their sexuality that you feel drawn to, you feel pulled to, what is it about that draws you in? Because that's mirroring something in you that wants to come alive. Or you can look at it as the women who trigger you in their sexuality. What is it about them that triggers you? Where's that judgment coming from? Indoctrinated, right? This is where we have to go through those beliefs and we have to send away what actually isn't ours, what was taught or passed down onto us. But noticing these triggers, thanking them, sending them love, noticing like, okay, this is my trigger because this is my perception. Okay, send them away, send them love, thank them for being a teacher, and then come like unhook from that trigger, unhook from that other person, come back into your own energy, take up all of your own space, and feel into your body of, okay, why did this trigger me? And is this expanding me into something? Or how can I send her love? Or how can I witness another woman in her sexuality or witness her in her magic and celebrate it, even if it looks different than mine? So triggers can go one of two ways, right? It might be showing you how you want to be embodied in your sexuality. And once you come into that, then you don't judge it anymore. Or it's showing you, how can I celebrate her? Because this is a sister wound. This is a feminine wound. How can I celebrate her, but also be in my own version of sexuality, right? Is this resonating? So what does sexuality look like to you? What does feminine energy look like to you? What does femininity look like to you, right? What does pleasure look like for you? What does sensuality look like for you? What does the seductress archetype look like to you? What does the sacred slut archetype? And if you've got trigger around that word, I know so many of you are going, oh, you want me to be a sacred slut? Hell yeah, I want you to unleash it and unlock it and activate that within you and allow yourself to come alive into that, because that is a piece of you that we've silenced or we've shamed or we've abandoned, but she's within you, right? So the seductress, the sacred slut, and healthy body image. That's something we're going to be talking a lot about here as well. So what does a healthy body image look like for you? Because it might be a different definition than mine. And who's to say who's right or wrong? It's just what feels authentic and aligned and good for you in your body. And I want you to go there. Now, I want us, like I said, to let this unfold naturally. Let this all process and not try to figure it out or seek it outside of ourselves. I want us to come back into our own energy and let this process be an ever unfolding process. And like I said, sexuality to you today is going to look completely different than it might a year from now. Because as you heal, you unlock and awaken different pieces within you. And you'll be able to kind of mold and melt all of these pieces together in this perfect picture of wholeness for you. That might look completely different than me or than Rosie or Shani Marie or Madeline Moon or these beautiful embodiment teachers that I adore. But all of our versions of being awakened in our sexuality looks different. All of our sexual preferences are different. All of our turn-ons are different. And no one is better or greater than the other. It's just every single person is in a different stage and in a different version and a different chapter because we're all individually wired. What might be pleasure for me might be a complete turnoff for you. So are you getting to know this within yourself, and are you allowing it, or are you caught in comparisons or shoulds or competition? More of that feminine sister wounding, which we have to go in on and continue to heal so that we can celebrate each other in our differences and our similarities, right? So the other piece that I have on here is I really want you to come so inside of yourself that you're finding your own information and you're not getting swept away in someone else's definition, because that's when we start to feel like we're broken or something's wrong with us or we don't fit in a box. My friend, you are never going to fit in a box. You are unique and individual, and your sexuality is your own. And I mean more than do you prefer men or women or in between or D all of the above. I mean sexuality in your embodiment. It's why I have an entire program called Redefining Eroticism, because eroticism is going to look different for everyone. And there might be these people that think the same thing, and these people that think the same thing, and these people that believe the same thing and have the similar definitions. But there's a whole flow in between all of that everyone is believing and having a little bit of a different definition based on their own perceptions, their own stories, their own experiences, their own healing, their own triggers, their own likes and their own dislikes, their own attractions and their, XYZ, you name it. We're all uniquely wired. How freaking rad is that? How liberating is that? This gets to look however you want it to look. So I want you to find your own version of sexiness, sexuality, feminine energy, the seductress, the porn star, as one of my clients likes to call this energy. What does that look like for you? And what would happen if you accepted that and allowed yourself to be different and allowed yourself to stand in your own energy, being filled all the way up with yourself and being able to witness other women in their embodied sexuality and celebrate them? And instead of judging them or being triggered by them and then letting that be a hook in you, unhooking, right? Sending them love, thanking them for being teachers, and really being like, interesting. And not trying to figure it out because you're not a math problem, but just being with the trigger. Unhooking, coming back into your own energy, and letting your process be your process. Let me know how it goes, okay? So that's what I'm going to leave you guys with today. I hope that this was helpful. Post below, what does sexuality look like to you? What does it mean to be embodied in your sexuality, to be in ownership of your sexuality, to be filled up and radiating in your sexuality? Let me know below. I would love to hear it. There is no right or wrong. There is no good or bad. It just has to feel aligned and authentic and true for you. And it's a working definition. It will continue to evolve as you come more and more and more inside of yourself, and you come home to yourself and you remove more of the wounds and you heal more of the wounds, and there's less triggers and there's less shame and there's less of the indoctrination, and you're in your own version of sexuality. I'm really excited to see what that looks like for you. So I love you guys, and I'll chat with you. See you in another Instagram TV soon. Bye.